In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to construct a frame in 3 different ways. Now, the first way is a plain line point, or a 3-2-1, which is over here in construct. Every frame needs 3 points or objects that give you a directional for each axis, your x, y, and z. In the example that we have 3 points that give us exactly that. Now, we can do this in 3 different ways because of these points, which is kind of nice. So here, the first way, a plain line point. So we're going to go into construct, frames, plain line point, or plain line origin point, or 3-2-1. I'm going to click that. The locator is the same thing as the origin point, which in this example is this corner of the triangle right here. So I'm going to click that point. It's going to ask me for the next one, which is a line. And this is usually the x-axis, but we can change that later. So I'm going to select this one, and then this one. Hopefully that'll give us our positive direction. It's going to ask me for the plane next, and now I'm going to choose all 3 because these points were actually taken in the same height or level. It's chosen those. I'm going to hit enter, and this lovely window pops up. And this window actually gives you many options on changing the x-axes themselves. You can change your plane normal vector to define x, y, or z, and then you can use that line that we created, this guy right here, to give you x, y, or z axis as well. And it defaulted to x this time, so I'm going to leave it exactly that. This is just telling you the fit between the 3, because you can have more points in here, depending on your plane and how many points you've taken for your plane. Or even your line, because if I had, say, 15 points between this and this, and I chose all 15, it would give me an average line between all of them. And then here also you can change your location of your origin point. In case you sometimes that comes in handy if you have offsets that you need to compensate for. So I'm going to leave everything in here the same. We don't need to reverse them. Positive direction should be good to go. So I'm going to click done, and it gives me this stick figure frame. Now, it doesn't look like this frame because this frame is the world frame and it's currently active, or it's made working. So this one is not our working frame. You can actually tell that by up here as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and rename this frame. I'm going to call it 3-2-1 frame, and then I'm going to click make working, and that will highlight this frame and also change it up here. Now, we can do all sorts of things with this from here. If it's not exactly what we were looking for, and it might be easier to change, say let's flip it 90 degrees on the z-axis or something, we can actually go in here, transform, go down to this rotation in z, because your position right here changes the actual position of the frame itself, or the origin point, which in this instance we don't want to do that. I just want to rotate and make my x-axis be positive between these 2 points. So I know I want to rotate in z, and I know I want to go positive. So I'm going to go in here and type in 90 degrees. And then it'll actually switch it and make my 90 go from this point to that point. And now this works because, well, this is a 90-degree angle. Just be aware of where you want to go, how you want to turn, and if you want to go back. Now, you can mess this up pretty good, so sometimes it pays off to just start over. So I'm going to close that out. I'm going to make our world working again and hide this guy. Now, our next one is a little easier to use. I've used it more often than I have the other one, which it was the reverse a long time ago. So I'm going to show you this one. So it's what's called a frame wizard. I'm going to use these 3 points yet again. So I'm going to construct frame wizard, and it pulls up this window right here. So I'm going to select my origin point, which obviously is our corner. And then my x-axis, my positive x-axis, is going to be these 2 points right here. So I'm going to select the corner point, then the point out in the distance, and now it's turned green, so I'm good to go there. Now, I can't currently track my z-axis positive or negative right now because I want that to be up and down just like the world frame is. And usually z is up and down anyway. So I'm going to actually track for y, and I'm going to choose my 2 points again, choose my origin, and then this guy. And as you can see, it automatically sets working this frame that we've created. So let's call this wizard frame 1. I'm going to click apply, and that shows up here in the tree. Go ahead and click accept. So now we have created our second frame. Now I'm going to create another frame using objects. And again, we're going to use the frame wizard. However, I'm going to create these objects first. So now I'm going to go and create a line. I'm going to choose this point and then this point. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to create our plane using these 3 points. Drag that, select, push enter, and now we've got our plane. Alright, so now we've got our origin point, our line, and our plane. And as you can see, plane, line, point. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go construct, frame, frame wizard, and again everything's empty. So I'm going to select my origin point. I'm going to select right there. Now I want my positive x to be on this line. So I'm going to choose an object this time. And I'm going to go over your tree. You can select it here, but it might be a little difficult or not. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this plane. Now this plane, as you can see, has an arrow pointing straight up and down. What that represents is the positive direction of that plane. Now that also represents our z value instead of our y value. So from here, I'm actually going to keep that positive direction with my z value. So I'm just going to keep this the same, choose my object as the plane, and as you can see, there you have it, is the plane. Now, as you can see right here, all I've done is just created points on that, created a frame on that point. Now, there are times when you need to have offsets. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. 0.75, and now we put that offset in there, and now we're on the plane itself. However, there's also another way you can do this. I'm gonna go ahead and go name this wizard frame. I'm gonna go ahead and show you another way we can do this, and it's gonna actually show you what's called projection points here. So actually, I'm gonna get that plane back out here, and what I need to do is, in order to put that frame on this plane without using the frame wizard, or just using points on the frame wizard and no objects, I'm gonna actually put these points on this plane. So I'm gonna go to construct points, project points to objects, and closest point. Now what this will do is it'll literally put these points on that plane, and they'll show up as what we call nominal points or created points. So here I'm going to ask me to choose my object. I'm going to choose my plane, and I'm going to enter, and then it's going to ask me to choose the points I want to project to that plane. I'm going to choose our 3 points, hit enter. Let's go ahead and name this frame projected. Now you can add a prefix or a suffix for numbers and other such things that you want. In this instance, we're not going to do that. I'm going to click OK. Now it's going to ask me the probe offset value, and I want 0, because what that's going to do is it's literally going to put it on that plane. If I go in here and I go 0.75, it's going to put it exactly where those points are, because that offset of the ball that was used to measure these is 0.75. I don't want to do that. So I want to put it at 0, which is on the plane itself, and I'm going to click OK. Now as you can see, we've got points, 3 points on that plane. And there's one on the vertice, one on that vertice, and one on that vertice. So here, I can go ahead and hide this original group. I can use the frame wizard, select my origin point. Now I can use, and even here, let's actually combine the last 2. So I'm going to use these points for here. And I'm not going to change that, I'm just going to use my object. And notice how I didn't use this point over here. It depends on the situation also that you're in, if you want to use the points or the plane. In some situations, this point isn't exactly y. It may be, say, over here in the middle, in the between of these 2 points. Instead of my y being pointing this way, and then having this argument between x and y, I'll leave my x here and graph my z, which makes that y obviously a 90 degree. So just be careful of what you're into, what kind of project you're on, and where you want your axes to actually be.